Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of BDCRX. I can't tell you guys how excited I am about today's episode. We have an amazing guest, but before we get to Erin, our guest, Jason, how you doing today?
Doing good. I'm really excited for this one. We had time to talk a little bit before, so honestly, I'm ready to get into it. I think we got some really good BDC stuff, and I think this might be something new to what me and you have been talking to, who we've been talking to, Matt. We talking to someone who has a really big store but has two locations and one with a smaller one, but I think now we just broaden the horizons on like what it looks like to run multiple rooftops, multiple people. I don't know if there's an office, is it in store, outsource. So I think today is going to be a big one.
It's always interesting before we start the record button, making sure that we don't talk too much with the guest and learn too much about her because we want to kind of keep it as much focus here as possible. So before we just to jump in, Erin, thank you for coming on the episode. Just to give you guys an introduction, Erin oversees significantly more than what her title would say. She is the BDC Director, BDC Manager over the Hendrick Automotive Group, which I'll let her kind of tell you a little bit more about what they do and kind of what makes them so special. But Erin, how you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
So if you can start off kind of to the point of what I just said, tell us a little bit about your job, your role, what you do on a day-to-day basis over there at Hendricks.
So our setup is definitely not a typical BDC. So when people think of a BDC, they think of a call center that, we handle sales service. It's typically 3, 5, 7 locations. Our setup is very different. We handle 31 rooftops for Hendrick, and we only
Wow.
handle luxury. So we handle, BMW, Mercedes, Porsche, all the things, but we are ginormous. We have about 140 reps here that support sales and service. So I oversee the variable side of operations for all 31 stores. And day to day, it looks completely different. So we don't handle fresh leads. We don't handle fresh phone ups. And most people think that's crazy. Yep, I can see Jason's face. Jason didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, we should have talked before, I thought we
No,
got
I wanted to
everything out on the
surprise
on
you.
the on the post.
So
Oh, this is good.
on the variable side of things, when COVID hit, our market area vice president made the decision to push all of the leads back to the stores because cars had to quarantine. You had a skeleton crew. You could only have so many people in the dealership, and it didn't make sense for a BDC that's off site to be trying to schedule appointments for people that may not make sense for the customer or the store. So what he did was he pushed all the fresh phone ups and the fresh net leads back to the store. So this sales BDC during COVID really had no purpose. They had no mission. So I was brought in to build a proactive BDC, which is all the parts of the dealership that the salespeople never get to, which is handling prospecting out of the service drive, managing your
Mm.
portfolio, helping with unsold follow-up, helping with uncontacted follow-up. We build all the reporting that feeds 31 stores. We send out a daily report that can tell you everything we did with all your net leads and phone ups the day before. So how are your salespeople doing? Where are your coaching opportunities? Did you have any missed leads from yesterday? Did you have unlocked phone ups that need to be handled? So we provide proactive support and then more coaching support. We find areas of opportunity. We either help manage it, we help fill those gaps, or we provide reporting to help the stores coach in real time.
So let me ask couple of questions just for clarification. 31 rooftops. You mentioned that it's luxury specific. I assume Hendricks is not only luxury, but you handle this proactive BDC for your luxury brands in there because I would guess, correct me if I'm wrong, that there's a different approach you're taking for your luxury clients than maybe Hendricks would identify the approach that would be taking for their non-luxury clients. Is that kind of accurate on why the setup is the way it is?
It came out of our market area vice president. He oversees luxury. So the company is split between luxury, your domestics, Highline, all the things. So our MAVP kind of came to us and said, after COVID, do we bring the leads back to the BDC or do we not? Well, the salespeople had learned to do a decent job. They were closing at a higher rate. So we felt that with coaching and support and training and reporting, we could actually help the salespeople be better on day one. And we could pick up the pieces on the back and what the things that salespeople might struggle with, which is follow-up or making unsold calls or prospecting their portfolio.
So I got a couple questions. Honestly, it's not a couple, it's like 12, but I can only write down a few. And for time's sakes, we're just going to make this easy. Um, so for everyone that I've been on the podcast, I have multiple rooftops too. And how we handle these rooftops and how you handle it, I promise you, it's not even like remotely similar, which is, to me, is mind-boggling, but it's super interesting. So I want to dig a little deeper. I like how you said handling service to sales. Is that what you said? Is you said service customers inside the service bay, transition them into the sales department? Did you say, was it? Okay, perfect. So we have a particular product like that ourselves. And what we found is that honestly, that is the most untapped market in the automotive industry. I don't care what marketing team you have. If you have a good service to sales BDC, you have the highest ROI in your store. The highest ROI, I believe, is service to sales, more than a mailer, more than car gurus, whatever. And the reason why I believe that is because, number one, we get the opportunity to sell the car at whatever number. Not really that, but you get where I'm going with it. If it says 20, it says $50,000 online, but on the car it says 52, they're going to go with the 52 number. So there's this little bit of wiggle room also. And then it's also that, hey, I get to that familiarity with my salesperson or a new person, and it's like the same place. And as creatures of habit, we just go back to the same thing. My question is this. I have a particular way that I run it. We're like element of surprise, where we like to call day of, 15 minutes before. And what we like to do is call with a CSI approach. Hey, Mr. Customer, how's my service department treating you? Oh, we're giving you a world-class experience. So we come from this avenue of like, hey, we're just checking in, how you doing? And then we like peruse in there like, well, hey, just to let you know, used cars that are really needed right now in the market, and you happen to have the make of the model we're looking for, if I was able to make an aggressive offer, boom, 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 get into this pitch. My question is for you. I know for sure that people that are listening right now will think that the best way to siphon sales out of the service drive is to have one person in the bay. I'm assuming you have multiple people calling. What is your methodology behind the service to sales? Because I believe that's the weakest pain point, and where most people that were healed hear this podcast will probably gain the most benefit from.
So what we've done, which I love your approach, by the way. I think that's fantastic. I used to do this at the store. So my background is not BDC. I'm the only person in this BDC that didn't start here. We promote from within. Out of 140 of us, I came from Lexus. So I came from Lexus across the street. Yes, I started as a salesperson. So done all the things, but I was a portfolio and an internet manager. So this is what I did on a daily basis at a store level, built it here to support lots of stores. So what that looks like on a day-to-day, our messaging, we call the day before, because that gives us 24 hours to alert our drivers, our portfolio managers at the store. We have open lines of communication with them. So we have Google Drive set up where they can access their lease portfolio and their service drive portfolio at any time. They can see which advisors they are working with. They can see if their waiter loan or drop. They can see if they've spiffed that service advisor for that referral, if it's delivered or not, any alerts or appointments. They all go in there, which salesperson they advised or assigned that customer to. But our messaging is very much so, for the first time since COVID, we have inventory, we have incentives. We want to reach out to our loyal customer base first before, John Smith shows up and takes one of those brand new cars that I haven't been able to get in 3 or 4 years. So we're pitching incentives. We're pitching the upgrade. We're talking about loyalty. Anything we can do to get them talking about the new car and less focused on the appraisal, because an appraisal is the pain point of the sales process, and getting them focused on that has them in that mindset when they arrive. And that's much harder to overcome, to where if they think they're coming in to look at new technology or explore what loyalty incentives they might qualify for, we're focused on the new car versus their current car. So to streamline that, what we do is we actually put op codes in X time to alert our service advisor.
Yeah.
So we streamline the entire thing from start to finish. So setting it up in the CRM, setting it up in X time, communicating with that driver, the sales managers, we have a dedicated person. We only give so many. We kind of give them the hottest prospects of the day. My team's not allowed to send anything over if they don't get a full needs assessment and a full trade assessment from the customer, because I'm not trying to waste a driver's time.
Come on. That's so good.
So we want to feed them the most viable opportunities.
Yeah, I think what you just said is spot on. And I think for my program, which the way it works is that we try to make it simple. Like we're like an iPhone. It's like super complicated, but I make it as simple as possible, just to press the green button, dial, use a phone. But if you want to get intricate, click on the settings button, right? And then we can go through a whole list of things. I think what you've done with your store, and I commend you for your stores, is you built a process that, which by the way, if people that are watching, she's dropping nuggets to different things. One of the ones is, number one, this whole thing also interjects into the service department. the service managers are aware of what's in it for them. Second piece, there was also a profit for that service advisor. Pay plans dictate behaviors. If there is something in it for them, they're going to want to do it for themselves as it benefits the store. So for me, it's like those pieces is really hard for an outsourced BDC that doesn't know, everyone intricately, and that, sometimes GMs just want to talk to their GSMs, and it's like the variable ops guys, he's over there. You know what I mean? Let's not even bother him. Just get him to come over here. And what you've done is like you built this cohesion experience where it's like everyone's interlocking at a successful place to where everyone's on the same team. I hope everyone caught that. That is one really good way to do it. I'm a big believer there's many right ways to do it, but I would honestly say it's probably the best I've heard from a dealer group, period. And half the time, let's be honest, guys, how many dealers do you know that even do it?
So let me ask you this, Erin, just to kind of talk through that. Like for a dealership that doesn't do this right now, what would be like the first couple of steps that they should put in place other than just saying, hey, Jason, come in and do it for me, right? That's the easy way to do it. Just plug in a person who can plug it in immediately right away, day one. But if they wanted to do it themselves, what are the first few things they've got to look for? They've got to put in place to have this process be effective moving forward?
Sure. So I would say the first ingredient is looping in your service advisors. So that line of communication from service to sales can happen naturally if you just loop them in on what you're trying to accomplish and you compensate them, whatever that looks like. If it's a flat, if it's billing internally, if we take that car in on trade so they can keep the billable hours, whatever it may be, the dealer can build that however they want. But incentivizing the service advisors for anyone that maybe has an expensive service or definitely has something that's, 10 years plus that they're going to need to upgrade soon, or someone that just mentions, hey, I really like my loaner, whatever it could be, finding those points to, oh, this might be someone who we should at least introduce to sales, right? And then talking to your salespeople about, salespeople love showroom traffic, and then they love phone ups, and then they love internet. What they don't love is the service traffic. And we all know this.
Yeah.
They don't know how to have this conversation. So the second piece of this is teaching your salespeople how to talk to these customers. And these are hotter prospects than your showroom traffic, because guess what? They already drive your brand. They already do business with your dealership, and they live locally. So they're already way hotter than somebody walking in off the street or someone from California submitting a lead to Charlotte. These are customers that already do business with you. This should be the hottest prospects you've got coming into the store, but no one taps into it. So if I were to walk into a dealership and advise them on how to set something like this up, you don't need a point person. If this is just one store, what I would do is I would talk to my advisors about, hey, I really need these cars, these models for my pre-owned inventory. You bring me one of these cars and this is what I'll pay you, right? And if it's putting a little VIP notification on their desks, if it's having the valets scrub X time and print off a list of scheduled appointments for the next day, hey, these are the cars we need to be on the lookout for. And you spiff your valets $10 every time they notify the advisor that, hey, this car's here. Make sure you talk to them. We need this car, right? You don't need a point person if you're not ready for that. There are other things you could put in place, but it starts with the service advisors, and then it starts with the client advisors, utilizing the resources you have to encourage them to be on the lookout for these cars, have the right conversations with these customers, and take them through the full sales process versus just assuming they're happy with their car.
Okay. So Jason, I'll ask the same question to you. Like if a store reach out to you and they say, hey, I just heard what you and Erin talked about on the podcast, and I want to see how I can benefit by using your team. What would you tell that store they need to have in place for you to get the best value out of what you say is probably the most untapped potential opportunity in their store? What do they need to have?
So mine is going to be a little different. Erin has, just so everyone knows, Erin has autonomy and you can hear it, right? There's a little bit of like, people are going to listen to you because it seems as if your product works. And I can say this, and I'm sure you know, Erin, in some stores it's beastly, in some stores it's average, in some stores it's like, is it me or is it you? We've got to figure something out there because it's not working, right? So for me, Matt, what it is we have to identify, but we also have to train. So for us, the element of surprise, guys, is what we have to go through, because if I tell a customer the day before, I can't really alert the service guy. I can't really alert the driver. I got to bypass these people, and my bypass is calling the day of while they're sitting there getting a coffee. That's my bypass. But then how I compliment them so it doesn't look bad on my end, so it looks like I'm helping the drive, is that I'm complimenting the vehicle, but also asking how the experience is going. right? So step one would, number one for me, would be like, first of all, a desk manager needs to be involved, because what we do is once the customer agrees as they're sitting there, we tell them, hey, we're going to stay on the phone with you. What color shirt are you wearing? Let me get my VIP manager to come speak with you because he's the one who told me to call you. So when we walk over, a desk manager or the desk should have full understanding of what the program is. All management needs to know, right? The management needs to regurgitate what we say on the phone. For an example, hey, Mr. Customer, thank you for walking over. Hey, this is the VIP program. We're going to roll out the red carpet for you and give you a world-class experience. But hey, I want to do one or two things for you today. One, I want to make you a really aggressive cash offer. Or two, I can give you a heck of a lot more for a trade. Which one of those two options is better for you? Then they always go with option number 3 that's never available. I just wanted to get a quick appraisal. Jesus have mercy, right? But a desk manager can overcome that. Hey, Mr. Customer, I'd love to give you the value of the vehicle, right? But I'd also love to give you a trade-in value. Let's do this. Let me give you both scenarios. To walk with my VIP concierge salesman. He'll walk the lot with you, find the right vehicle. When you come back, I'll give you all the facts and figures on both decisions so you can make an educated one. So here's what I identified. One, I need an identification of a desk team that is willing to, number one, overcome an objection, but understand how to overcome the objection. Any objection that someone gives in the service section is just a reason of time. They just have to go, or I don't know, and they need to be told more information, and they need to have the idea that this is an exclusive program designed for them. The second piece is once that lead is given to a normal sales agent, that person has some identification that, hey, we're super interested in wanting to buy your vehicle. Let me show you some upgrades. Matter of fact, what does your car have now that you would really want in a new one? Was it an extra seat, an extra row? Did you want the newer model, or where can we go with it? And then that salesperson does their sales thing. And then ultimately, Erin knows this, sometimes they can be harder to close. So what that means is that desk manager is the VIP manager, is the hammer to that salesperson in the deal. And that's how I would say it takes a desk and it takes a salesman to understand the program. That would be my setup.
Erin, any
Sorry to be
thoughts,
wordy.
disagreements? I mean, like, it seemed like you were kind of nodding along as you heard him talking. I mean, different perspectives. And by the way, we're completely comfortable with different approaches. And what I hope our audience hears from this is there's not one way. There's not one way to be the perfect way. Erin's store in her group, in her focus, has an approach that works for Hendricks in that luxury brand that they're doing. And then Jason's approach works with the customers that he works with. And there are probably dozens of other approaches that works in every single store. And it's the setup of the store. So Erin, as you heard Jason go through that, anything you said, maybe my perspective would say I disagree with that.
I don't have anything that I disagree with. I do have something that I latched onto that I think is super important. You mentioned the time component. I 100% agree with that because time is essential in a dealership. You're running and gunning all day, every day, right? So meeting with viable customers is important. So we actually set, because we call the day before and not the day of, we set the expectation with the customer that they need to have at least 30 minutes to meet with our driver on site, or we don't even schedule them. The store never even knows we talked to that customer, because if you can't commit to meeting with me, you're not committed in having this conversation. So I never want to waste anyone's time. And I love that you said that, because I think that's really important, is filtering out. Your goal is not to target everyone in the service drive. It's to target the customers that are most likely to buy. So if a customer is stalling me out, well, just give me an appraisal. Well, I can only meet for 5 minutes. Guess what? They're not that interested. Those are not the ones you need to be spending your time on. So creating that someone that can meet for 30 minutes, especially if they're waiting, that's not a large time commitment. So that's how we scrub out the more serious, viable customers from the ones that may be just, well, if they give me an appraisal, or if we could just trade keys, sure, I'll do it, right? Those are not the ones we want.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny. I think, Matt, and for the viewers, that Erin's way, I would say, is quality. Mine would be more quantity. Now, and you can look at it from two different perspectives too, to where in my world, Erin, I wish I had the ability that you have, because you just have like the autonomy I just don't have autonomy. I would probably honestly run it similar to the way Erin runs it if I had the opportunity to speak with service advisors, them being on board, because there is this whole nother space that I walk around from and try to get into. And I wish I could tell a customer it's going to take 30 minutes. Just that element of surprise. So there's going to be an objection that comes back to that salesperson that they have to overcome. Hey, we'll only have 30 minutes. Well, this is only going to take 15 minutes of your time. And I don't know how liable that is. I truly don't. But we believe if you get the customer landed on a vehicle, you have more time. If they don't land on a car, they time out quick because they're service customers. And I know a lot of the stuff that Erin is saying is based on trial and error. Because once you send over a lot of quality, that's when the salespeople, they're not interested. And it's like, I don't know, I get all these leads, but no, you know what and that's where that comes from. So honestly, Erin, I tip my hat off to you. I was very interested. That was one of my first questions that I had because I was wondering what it would look like for someone to build, like it's a built process that the dealership has to follow. A lot of the times mine are sales built processes that the salesmen have to follow, not the dealership. Does that make sense, Matt?
Yes.
Yeah. And I would
I love that.
imagine, and Erin, you correct me if I'm wrong here, I would imagine if you were tasked to build the exact same process for your non-luxury business, you would probably do it slightly different. Like the way you have to handle it and the customer and the audience that you have has to probably be a little bit more boutique than on your domestic audience and your domestic cars. So like the specific funnel that your clientele is in also determines the approach that you take, I would imagine, right?
I think it would look a lot different, but I do think there are some similarities that we would carry through if that was an option. And I'll tell you what I think is maybe key. And Jason hit on this, getting the desk involved, getting management involved. So before we ever launch a store, we go in, we meet with the entire management team, including service. So everyone is on the same page, the GM, everyone knows what the playbook's going to look like. Then we wait for the service advisors to have a breakfast meeting. We buy them breakfast. We talk about the incentives. We talk about what we're trying to achieve. So they meet with them. Then we go in and we train the salespeople. So we do all the back end stuff before we ever launch. So everyone is always on the same page and you identify kind of who's your point person going to be. So for Jason, it's the desk manager. For us, we typically have dedicated drivers, whether that's a desk manager or a salesperson or someone that all they do is portfolio. And because what happens is once you launch this program, what we're sending, we want the dealership to take ownership of it. That accountability piece is key or this goes nowhere, right? If everyone's not bought in, no matter how good the program is, it will fail. So we come in and we ask, what hours do you want us calling? So the store is able to customize parameters. What do you want us calling? Do you want us calling anything? Do you want us calling any, 10 years newer, less than 150,000 miles? Do you want us calling off makes? I've got some stores that are like, send me a wheelbarrow, I'll take it. And other stores that are like, no, I can't afford the recon on something that's 10 years old, right? So I want something that's 7 years under 120,000 miles. So having the ability to customize when they want us calling, when they want us appointing, what they want us calling. Every month, our GMs get an email, our stores, where they can update us on inventory, incentives, if they have any shortages, if they need something specific for the pre-owned market that they're willing to pay top dollar for. I need to be able to talk about that on the calls. Right? So having that open line of communication, not just with the point person, but with the managers, with the salespeople, with the people involved in the day-to-day operations is key. We talk every single morning. We send them an email and say, hey, this was your performance from yesterday. Can you update me on these couple customers? What happened? What was the outcome of this one? Hey, these are your appointments for tomorrow. Do you need anything? Right? And the reason we do it a day in advance is because I did the job. So I know what worked for me in the store. So our drivers giving that day in advance allows them to pull a payoff, allows them to pull a Carfax, allows them to get with that service advisor and say, hey, I've got a customer that may be interested in upgrading to a newer RX. Do we have any loaners available tomorrow? And what that portfolio manager will do, meet that customer out in the drive. They will demo that loaner car. And then the test drive is the loaner for the day. So then they have the proposal ready when the customer comes back. So again, using all those resources to put processes in place that work for your location, because what works for one store may not work for a really small store or a really big store or someone who has a salesperson running this versus a dedicated person.
Yeah, Erin, I couldn't agree with everything you said more. And I think a really good phrase to wrap it all up in a bow is law of the buy-in. Without buy-in, the program is nothing. 100%. The dealership has to buy in, the salesman have to. It's this law of buy-in where it all must work or none of it works at all, which is where I want to go to this next piece, Matt. And I know usually you do the transition, but I'm actually just, I got to go because it's
Oh,
a
go
deep
ahead.
question here. I'm an outsourced BDC. You're an outsourced BDC. You have rooftops. I have rooftops. There's a lot of similarities. The only similarity now that I'm getting is that you have autonomy. So my next question is this: we like to hit. Look, this is my swag. You can say I'm all in or all out. Meaning I want day one or I don't want it at all. I want day two or I don't want it at all. Why? The first few days are the maximum. It's the lead health of the lead. This is where you can convert 20% or 30% of all appointments can be done on the first 2 days. Okay. So, which scares me when you say it the way that you said it, because it's like, hey, are you going to hold me to this stat? Because if you're going to hold me to the set ratio stat, then let me set it. If you're going to hold me to the appointment show stat, well, then let me do it. So my question is, for me, it would be so scary. How do you give the autonomy over to salespeople? Which, and I'm not saying anything negative. It's just that I'm scared. It's not. I'm just scared. It's not so often I see that salespeople manage the leads at a high level because their play plans don't dictate that they should be calling. Their play plans don't say that. It says sell this car, make X dollar. Sell this many cars, get this dollar. It doesn't say make this many phone calls to receive this dollar, right? So my question is, how are you graded on your side of things if they can't really hold you to set and show to an extent? And does it make you nervous that someone else is on top of the leads in the hottest part of the lead health or the lead maturity?
Nervous? No, because I actually hold my people to a higher standard than we hold the stores, because I do expect them. My people convert uncontacted day 2 higher than salespeople convert day 1, because we train constantly. Now, I'll back up before I talk about my people. This did not happen overnight. This process that we're talking about happened over years. And before we did not launch the entire market area at once. We launched them brand by brand, store by store. Again, we went in and we trained those salespeople on what proper day 1 handling should look like, from the initial call to the initial conversation, to what a good email looks like, to how to text these customers, how to send a video, how to make a second round call. So we have gone all in on day 1. We've taught them. Hendrick has its own in-house university. I don't know if many people know that. If you don't work for the company, you may not realize that. We have a team of dedicated university trainers that train all of our salespeople, sales managers, GMs, everybody, service, sales, all the things. So a new salesperson comes in, they go to the sales process training. So selling the Hendrick way basics, but then they also go to phone training. So our salespeople we have a 2-minute drill that every salesperson learns how to do when they learn how to handle net leads. We learn how to take inbound phone calls, outbound phone calls. We have scripts that the entire company should be using. They have all the tools in the world. The piece that works is the accountability piece, because just trusting them to do it is not going to happen. But when my team comes behind them the next day and sends that report to their GM and their sales managers before their debrief, and they go into that meeting and say, hey, TJ, you had 3 leads yesterday. You didn't make your round 2 calls. You didn't send your video, and you didn't work one of them. What's going on? Right? It is that real-time feedback next day where they can cut leads off immediately if a salesperson's not doing their job. And that is what a lot of our stores do. They hold their salespeople to certain metrics so that each day, if they're not hitting those metrics or handling those leads properly, they typically get taken away.
Matt, I know me and you, Erin, there was a guy that came on the show, I think 2 episodes ago, and he said something like really cool. And I didn't catch it until like maybe we were off. He said the internet leads are for people that deserve it. Internet leads are gold. If you're not going to work it, if you're not going to be a good salesman, if you're not going to sell this many cars per month, then we're not going to give you the internet leads. So what he did is this: you have to be doing something specific to receive an internet up. And I thought that was really good because, number one, you would want your best agents on those internet leads anyways, because it makes our stats look that much better. Of course, we want to walk around with a 15% closing rate on every store, and we're just sitting there like, yeah, we won, right? But then there's these stores where it's like, how did you not close? Like, we sent you, let's just say the breakdown goes 500 leads, 250 appointments set, and let's just say 100 show, 125 show, and then you only sold 50 cars. It's like, what happened here? Like, where did we go wrong?
I love that, and I fully support that. Since we don't handle fresh leads here, I'll talk about what we implemented at my old store. because
Mm-hmm.
that mindset is what we've carried into how our market area is run now. So when I was at the store, when our market area vice president shifted all these leads to us, and we had no clue what to do with them. Our old BDC had handled them for years. We had never seen an internet lead. We were like, what do we do with this? I got some training wheels. We figured out what we were doing. And I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to tackle this and I'm going to be in charge, we're going to make an internet team. And every salesperson in the store that wanted to be on that team auditioned. They had 1 month to prove to me. I checked their calls per lead, their activities per lead. I would check their emails. And if they couldn't convert at a certain rate, they could not be on that team. So I selected the 5 best players in the store, and they were not the top performers. I didn't want the top performers. I wanted the people that were most coachable, because then I could turn them into what I needed them to be. And we trained every single Monday. We would do lunch and learns, and we would read leads. We would call competitors. We would email competitors. We would see how many videos they could send out. We would train. How do we write good emails? How do we attack this? They learned how to desk. They learned how to pencil deals. I mean, all the things. So they were ninjas. And I took guys that were 10, 12 cars a month performers, and every single one of them hit 200 cars the next year. So it was but we cut off every other lead source for them. They couldn't take showroom. They couldn't take phone. They had to live off internet. And you want to talk about being hungry? Those guys would attack every single one of those internet leads. So how do I feel about salespeople handling them? If they are trained properly, they are very effective.
And I would say from my side is, once again, I don't manage a scope that you guys manage in regards to the size of my team. I currently manage a 26 store operation for an outsourced internet only BDC, and we work integrally with each individual store and the general manager of that store. And I would tell you, for us, all the data and analytics, I would say, from the leads that come in, is that if we don't get to those leads in under 5 minutes, that's our biggest miss. And my biggest concern of having floor and salespeople who have multiple different hats and not a level of individual expertise focus is that they're likely not going to put the focus around the first 5 minutes, which is where almost all of the data would indicate if you don't get to that customer in under 5 minutes, the likelihood of a connection happen drops drastically. And so why I've always been and felt like the team that I provide to my client is always bringing the value that's needed in the store is really on that first touch, under 5 minutes, focusing on nothing other than when the lead comes in, reading the lead, digesting it, and making action quickly. And some of the things that we've added to the process that have increased our connection rate, and drastically what happens is when we get more connections on that first attempt, we get more appointments, which is an immediate text that goes out under 3 minutes saying, hey, I'm going to call you from an unknown number in the next couple of seconds. And then immediately following that text with a call has increased our connection rate drastically. My biggest concern when you have a team focused on everything in the sales cycle is you're going to miss opportunities when a lead comes in quickly. Erin, what do you say about that?
So the expectation we've set with the market area is 15 minutes. And we know salespeople get busy. So what a lot of our stores have done is move to that internet mindset of having an internet team or internet specific people, or having dedicated internet managers that are constantly watching those. Now, our sales managers are also trained to watch as those internet leads come in, but typically they've got dedicated people at the store that are watching those, that are handling those, because that is a real thing. And it's not just when your first outreach, it's, are you finishing the entire process in a timely manner? Because if I call that customer within 5 minutes and I don't make contact, are you doing anything else? Or are you just one and done, right? Or are you taking your full swing of call, text, email now? Go send a video later, go make round 2 call later. So that is one of the measures that they get graded on that report I keep talking about that comes out every morning. Their response time is on there along with their finish time. How long did it take you to finish your leads yesterday?
That's a good stat.
I think that where the value of an internet outsourced BDC, whether that's a company like mine, who I'm not trying to take every customer. I'm very, very selective in who I work with. And Jason is as well, but he just has a lot more, is I think where the biggest misses that I see in the dealership is the speed to lead and then the long-term follow-up. Because every store, every salesperson wants the lead day 1. Maybe they want the lead day 2, but what happens day 3, 4, 5, 15, 30, 45, 60? No, we moved on. I got a new lead today. I don't need to focus on last week's leads. But the sales cycles fluctuate for every different customer and how you're approaching those conversations and what you're doing. So I think that the value that a team like mine does, and even a value of the team like Jason's does is, yes, can we provide a level of exclusive focus? Yes, but we can also go do the things that your team is just not willing to do. Jason, do you agree with that premise, or am I maybe oversimplifying?
No, I think yes. I think that for sometimes in dealerships, what it is it's a lack of not an. Here's the deal. I think that dealerships themselves don't really see how important an internet BDC is. So it's not that they don't want to, it's just they don't have enough people to do it. They just don't think it's fruitful, or they're not going to do it, or it just won't be that good. So you'll have a store that has 500 leads, or let's just say 1,000 leads with 2 people. And I'm not calling, and I hope some of my dealers are not looking at this, but there's a couple of stores that I've said this to. It's like, what are you doing? Like, there's no way you're going to be successful. I'm immediately going to give you results. I don't even have to go to day 5 or 6. I can stay 1 through 4 and dominate, right? Because you only had 2 people. Sometimes, Matt, for me, I agree with you totally. I just think it's a lack of not having enough people there that gives birth to that. So for me, Erin, I wanted to ask you another question too. Let me get this iPad here. When it comes to like cadence of the opportunity, right? I think cadence is really important. Now, I don't want to know the Hendrix cadence. I don't think that's what the world wants to know. I just want to know your cadence in which you're hitting these luxury customers. Do you guys think you're aggressive? Do you think you're more laid back? And to add to this, do you guys use an AI format? So let me fold it to it, we can connect. Cadence sometimes can be hit better with AI. Me and Matt were talking about outreach. We're just talking about hitting more customers. Do you believe in AI as the supplement to hit longer? Like, should the AI just hit a 30 on a text and email? Should it be a human? Am I really wasting my time? Slightly, I feel so. But is that really the fact? Should I have pumped a phone call, or should a text and email suffice? So my question is, number one, do you think your cadence is aggressive, not aggressive to luxury? 1. And 2, do you feel that AI is helping you in that experience, or you haven't dabbled in that yet?
So great question. So first and foremost, for us, with all the data that we've done, and we've done lots of studies because we have lots of stores. So it allows us to see what is our contact rate, what is our conversion rate. And in the statistics that we've had, 80% of our sales come from day 1. So anything outside of day 5, for me, the ROI is not there, not on human capital. It's just not. You're going to have a 1% contact rate. You might close 1 extra car deal. All of your resources should be, whether it's BDC or in-house, 1 through 5 should be the hot window. And we know 1 and 2 are gold. You could maybe take that to 3. I'm still not even sure if day 4 and 5 are super fruitful, but I will say,
I love it. I love what you're saying. So good. So good. So good.
We just launched yesterday, so perfect timing. We have 5 new stores launching our new AI tool. And I agree with you for this exact same reason, that especially for uncontacted customers, AI all day, all day. If you've had a viable conversation with the customer, my cadence would be very dependent on what your conversation was. Right? What brought them in the market? What is their time frame? What's holding them back? Why are they stalling? What is their objection? But for me, that 1 through 5 window is vital. Anything outside of that, I would not expend human capital on. I would absolutely move to automated emails. I would move to an AI resource that can continue those text and email conversations until you get traction somewhere, because there's no point. And if salespeople aren't doing a great job on day 1 or day 2, they're definitely not going to do a great job on day 40.
Come on. Yeah, so good. So good. Yeah, Erin, I couldn't agree with you more on what you just said. And I promise you, I know you're running a successful model over there just by our conversation. I know that for a fact. And that methodology that you just dropped on the table, I promise you, 90% of the people I talk to would never think that way. A GM will call me right now and say, go hit day 15. It's like, who do you think, like, at what expense do you think that's going to take? It's going to take me 2 hours to hit that day 1, day 2. And if I get a pickup, if I do get a pickup, it's probably a customer that flaked on a missed appointment. So it's like, wait a minute. So Matt, I'm curious because I know that you have a group. Have they moved, like, I don't know if you're allowed to say this stuff. Have they moved into the AI? Are you using the AI to go forward? I don't think we brought that up, but what have you seen? Because I know they're mostly in the California area. What have you seen on your side of that?
Yeah, so I've never said who my client is, so I can comfortably say, kind of a little bit more about the details. They've used AI before I was there. I started with them in October. They still use AI. They use it very, very ineffectively. I would tell you that the AI has probably gotten in the way of the outsourced BDC, not
Yeah.
in the mix. And I think one of the biggest problems in where stores can make big mistakes is when you don't bring in a solution that is connected together. And one of the problems we've had at some of the stores, and Jason, you and I've talked about this, is some of the stores say, hey, you go run the offense exactly how you want to do, and we will work around you, or we will supplement around how you're working. And then some stores are like, fuck it, I'm just going to do what we want to do anyway. And it doesn't work that way. Like, it's like we run into scenarios where we're calling 3 times on a day one lead with a text and an email. The AI is texting it. The store manager's texting, a salesperson hungry is texting it, and we're flooding a customer. And they're like, hey, why aren't we getting the results we want to get from our leads? Because you're drowning your customer base with connections. Like, we have to be smarter with it. In my organization, we are absolutely moving towards an integrated AI solution that connects the people with the AI. The AI integration includes not just text, which is, I think, really the only successful way AI is being utilized in automotive today, but we've developed a really, really dynamic and strong voice AI that can absolutely be programmed and can be able to supplement the volume of activity that needs to be done, and especially on some of the long-term stuff, and especially on some of the equity mining side of the business and the QA side of the business, that most customers, it would be indistinguishable to a human being. I don't think that that's being done properly. I don't think that's being done effectively in automotive right now at all. And so we're definitely developing that within my organization. And I know we're not the only ones. There's hundreds of companies who are trying to master AI for automotive right now. I'm very concerned that 90%, 98% of them are going to do it poorly, and it's going to put a bad taste in the dealership's mouth. But
Oh, that's good.
I think that dealerships have to look at AI, but I think that where most dealerships will make the mistake when it comes to integrating AI is they will probably make the same mistake around AI that they did with digital retailing. And as if you're not branding yourself as a business who uses AI to help your customers the same way a digital retailing source can help your customers, then your customers won't adapt to it, because the industry, not Hendrick, not any specific store, but the industry has programmed its customers that the only way you're going to get the best deal possible is if you walk in the store and you haggle with the dealership. And so that's why digital retailing's never worked. And if AI, in my opinion, is leveraged as a way to close the gap with the customer and the lack of trust they have with the dealership, then that is, I think, the best way for us to be able to install AI in over there. Now, Erin, just to kind of kick it to you, I'm sure AI has been a part of the Hendricks discussion. Where you guys stand on it today, and where do you think will change in Hendricks in 5 years from now, when it's become a little bit more, I think, socially acceptable?
I'll be very curious to see where it goes. I do see a ton of benefit in the text and the emails, because that is such a time saver for salespeople, BDRs. I don't know how I feel about AI conversations. That is not a component that we've launched, and I have very mixed feelings, because at the end of the day, and I teach my reps this, I teach anyone that I work with, the customer comes first, and the customer experience is the primary objective. And I don't care how many cars we sell. I don't care how many appointments we set. I don't care how many shows I've got. If we take care of that customer, it will come full circle. We will always do what's best for the customer. And I don't think an automated system having a conversation, when customers don't do this all day, every day, they don't buy cars frequently, they're not as familiar with the industry. It's a scary stereotype. There is a stigma around buying a car. And my mission in life is to educate customers on how to buy cars and the options that best work for their scenarios. I don't think that an AI tool can provide the level of customer service that I would expect from my reps or my salespeople.
Yeah, and just to add one more thing before Jason adds his 2 cents there is, and to be clear, when I'm talking about AI, I'm exclusively referring to it from an appointment setting BDC perspective only. I'm not talking about replacing the experience in the store. I'm talking about making sure that we can answer the questions and drive the customer to the store, because I do not think that AI will ever replace the store-focused experience, but I want to make it as simple as possible and make it as easy as possible for the customer to get what they need to understand that they need to come into the store. That's where I believe, at least today, where kind of AI starts and stops in regards to being able to benefit the dealership. Jason?
Yeah, I hope I can provide more than 2 cents. I'm gonna really sit with what Erin was saying, Matt, and I'm gonna tell you why. I have an American Express Platinum card, and there is no AI to that. I connect directly with a person. I speak to them about my travels. I speak to them about what I need to. And honestly, if I was buying a car, I don't want to like, even if it's BDC or setting an appointment, I just need that person on the phone. I don't think I'm scared about, like, might come off as like I'm scared that AI might come in and replace or take. I just think that the first dealerships to do it will be the first ones to see a downfall, because I don't think we're ready for it, period. I still believe that connections need to be made with people. Excitement needs to be built over the phone. A relationship needs to be bridged by wanting to come to this store or that store. And I think what happens is that these people fill out internet leads at multiple stores. If you have the AI and I have the human, I'm probably going to be like, hey, you take your customer base more seriously, I'm going to go with you. Now, if everyone has AI, it's a completely different story. What I'd like to see is if 5 stores had AI and 1 didn't, where would you go? So I think it's like that feeling of maybe the world, maybe our car industry will flow that way. I just want to see what the numbers project to be like, but I think we all have to be prepared for some sort of collision course with AI. But the way that it's gone with text and email, I actually like it that way. I think it's phenomenal. I think it only just made everyone better, stronger. I can't type a better email than, Grok can, and nor do I want to attempt to try. But I will tell you, I think that human interaction may always be. Now, later day follow-up, I can see it, but 1 through 4, tough cookie.
Here's the part that when I talk to dealerships and I talk to leaders in dealerships, that for whatever reason, they know this fact, but they don't grapple with this fact. And it's
What do you mean?
And the lack of trust that the community has with dealerships. They know this. You can look at every statistic over the past 20 years that right now today, the 3rd most untrusted profession in America behind politicians and the media is car dealerships.
Wow.
And so if you leverage AI being more trusted based off of the transparency, then the community that is interacting with the dealership thinks of the dealership, then you gain an advantage using AI. But it comes to how you market that process. There's a reason why Carvana created a very, very dynamic customer base, because they tapped in to a market that the general dealer wasn't talking to and they weren't speaking to. So I'm not saying that there will be a select audience, and maybe it's Erin's current luxury audience that would absolutely be willing to pay more for a boutique experience, but we also discount, in my opinion, the gaps that AI can, in theory, close around the lack of trust that the community and society has with the dealership. So that's just an extra thing for somebody. And there will be an organization, whether that's Hendrick's, whether it's one of these other major organizations that really, really dive into this, that will end up proofing this concept. And we're going there eventually. I remind everybody, there was a period where all of our mothers told us, don't ever get in a car with a stranger. And now we literally summons a car to our front door to get in a car with a stranger to take us to all of our important places. Bring them to our front door of our house and tell us where this stranger, we show them where we and our family live, utilizing Uber. And because of the convenience, we became willing to overlook the other things that we've always been ingrained in us not to have. And AI will be there. The society will interact with AI in that way. We just have to have somebody who's going to be a market leader in that process. That's my opinion on it. I'm completely comfortable with 90% of the automotive industry disagreeing with me, as most of the teams do. Now, let me switch this because I know we're tight on time. One of the other things, Erin, you said you really want to focus on, and I'm really interested to hear how you deal with this, which is the training and the scaling of an organization the size of yours. So, Jason, how many employees do you have in your team?
Probably in the 220-ish.
There you go. 200 to 220 people that you hire, train, manage, and I have a team that's not as large. I have an organization where I have about 80 overall employees that work in a variety of different companies for me. Hiring 5 people and running a BDC for 5 people is very different than having 100 people or 200 people. And being able to have such refined processes, Erin, that you have is easy when you have such a small group, very difficult when you have such a large group. How do you do that so successfully?
Training is not a one and done for us. It is a lifestyle. You're never done training here. So even when you come on board with us, you train for 9 to 12 weeks. Just because, Jason, I see your face. We are no joke. It is not just the call. You don't come in and just learn the call. You learn the business. You learn the basics. You learn what salespeople are learning. You go to the same classes that the salespeople do. We teach culture. We teach communication styles. We teach learning styles. We teach all the things, and learning never stops for us. So we have our reps go through 5 different levels of leadership before they ever become a manager with us. So you're not just training to be a rep. You're training to teach other reps. You're training to lead reps. You're learning how to manage. So our leaders, like I am training this afternoon for 3 hours on unsold calls. Training never stops. It is constant. We are doing call coaching every day. We are doing one-on-ones. We are doing virtual training for our reps that work in another location. It's working with my managers in the pods on how to take lives, verbals, how to clearly write notes to the stores so the salespeople know how to pick up the ball and run with it every day. We have to have processes. I meet with my senior management team at 7:30 in the morning. Then that manager meets with the junior group leads at 7:45. Then those managers meet with the reps at 8 a.m. And we start with a Maxwell reading every day. Our reps get leadership exposure at every level. And then we learn what is our mission today. And then they have a game plan. We break up the workload before the day even starts. They have a plan of attack. So everybody knows what their marching orders are before the day ever even starts. And I think having a plan is essential, or none of this works. We have to proactively plan. What does the day look like? What does the training look like? Our training materials are next level. They look like they should probably be in a college binder somewhere. It's ridiculous. But that's the level of, I don't need them to be able to make a call. I need them to be able to educate the customers on, okay, if I'm a cash buyer, what are my options? Well, are you a cash buyer because you got a check from your credit union? Are you a cash buyer because you might be a good one-pay lease customer? Are you a cash buyer because I only have this much money in my bank account, or I've got bad credit? What am I dealing with? That scenario could go 15 different ways. And if I only educate them on how to make the call, they don't know how to help the customer. So if I really want to help the customer, they have to understand the business and all the options we can possibly provide. That was a long answer. I'm sorry.
No, that was really good. Matt, you want to go?
No, I mean, it's interesting because, look, one of the things I've learned over time in my 15 years of kind of hiring, training, and scaling sales organizations, which is how to be as effective and efficient at training as possible. And I made the mistake for probably 8 years of running full-time classroom-based training programs. And over the past couple of years, I've created all of my training content to be without me and my training team to have to spend the majority of our time being the trainers, where we've created a bunch of creative video content, testing materials, all of the mechanisms that can provide the information and then receive the information. I know Jason, and he loves talking about this because he's a firm believer in training. Jason has a whole worldwide university where he works with dealerships to help them train their employees. So when they don't want to use him for his staff and they want to bring in their own in-house team, they actually use Jason's worldwide university to provide training on talk tracks, objection handling, lead handling, how to use the CRM. And he has gone through all of the blood, sweat, and tears with his hours of putting all of that data together to teach and train people on that. So Jason, I know you probably want to add some stuff on how you do that as well. And for anybody who doesn't have the ability to invest into their people the way Hendrick's does, and they need help getting their people better, kind of how you could help with that.
Yeah, you know, it's so funny. When you were talking, I have this tablet here, and you know, I was taking notes and stuff, and I literally typed in Hendrick Automotive Group. Or what is this? Because I'm trying to figure out, because what you just said is like literally what I would want, like perfectly, right? But it's a private equity. It's the largest private. I literally had to see what it was. I'm like, is it privately owned? Who the heck owns this? Because it's run corporate and it's run very direct, and I like that. For a company like mine, not to water myself down, but we have to create things or new things that we can do that don't structure around a place of having an abundance amount of income to back, right? So let me start there. So we've created something known as Worldwide University, And what it is like what Matt said, it has talk tracks, it has, drop closes, 2-option close, arm techniques, ignore, acknowledge, ignore, redirect, conversations. How do you keep the word track consistent? How do you funnel a customer down? Branching of a tree, what's the best price? So I feel like the basic CRM stuff, we have that in the, if it's eLeads, Vinso, Drive Centric, whatever, whoever, we have a map of how to properly do that, how to schedule appointments, why that's really important, where to put the notes, how to put the notes, what this means, what that means. So we've created a platform that does that. We don't have a workbook of it, but we have like specific videos that we can train and help people on. But I think one of the most important things of it is that we have quizzes at the end. Erin, I'm just like you. I think training is the most important. Without training, we suck, period. It's like, what do we have today or tomorrow? That's all we have, right? But with ongoing training, what we're able to produce is really high-leveled agents. In university, you have like novice, you have middle tier, and then you have like an expert tier, like how to really close and like, hey, if someone asks like, what's the best interest rate? There's so many different ways to handle that. I can get very complex with you, or I can give you a simple answer. Hey, we can just, hey, with all interest rates, that's done here at the dealership when you speak to your VIP manager. We can be basic, or we could really get into that conversation with the customer. Interest rate really can't be talked about over the phone. There's many different things that come into an interest rate, and we, et cetera, et cetera. So what we've done is just given like a process to people, like, hey, if you're new to this space, start here. If you've been in the space for a year or so and you really understand what equity is, what a buyback is, what negative equity looks like, then you're in advance. And if you want to be expert, which is literally cradle to grave, understanding the intricacies, taking the credit score, getting the credit app over the phone, we have that. So I'm a big proponent in training, man. I think that's where I think us as a company are different and individual, because I think that we continuously do that. So I tip my hat off to Hendrick. You had to make me Google like where you guys are getting this income from. It was awesome.
Well, Erin, look, we're past the time. I could learn from you all day. I'm sure we could sit here and talk the business for hours at a time. I know you are super, super busy over there with everything that you've got on your plate. So I want to be as respectful of your time as possible. Before we go, any final words you want to say to us, to the audience, anybody who might be watching?
No, I mean, I'm flattered to be here. Thanks for having me. I love everything that you guys have to say. A lot of fun stuff, picking up on different aspects of the business, from the consulting aspect versus in-house versus what we do just at a large scale. So it's great to hear all the ideas. And I'm just excited to be able to be part of the conversation.
We appreciate you having Jason. Any final words from you, buddy?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks again for everyone that tunes in and listens to it. I think we're in an untapped market, which is BDC. And I think anyone that watches this, GMs, anyone that gets into the BDC space, I just want to let everyone know that this is an untapped market, and being good in this space can be really beneficial for you. So when you're thinking about being a salesman, you're thinking about being a desk manager, I would really just have you think, what if I became the best BDC agent in a dealership? I'll tell you why. Because most of the time, the BDC is the least developed department in the store. So if you really want fruits of your labor where not everyone is going, I would run towards the BDC. And as Erin said, Matt was saying, there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of things that are going to go on in our space that are new with AI and so much technology. So if you're looking to jump in, a thought came to me. Just before you take that sales job, just try to see how BDC can work for you.
Absolutely. For all the listeners, I appreciate you staying with us for the full hour. I know that you learned a lot from Erin, Jason, and hopefully a few things from myself today. If you did learn anything that I'd ask, just share, like, comment, engage in the conversation so we continue to have more of these for you guys. Until next time, see you soon.